We continue to follow breaking news from suburban Washington, D.C. The Montgomery County Police Department says a person is in custody after someone was shot at Thomas S. Wooten High School in Rockville, Maryland. These are shots from above the school. You can see law enforcement there walking past some school buses. The school is on lockdown. All roads to the school have been closed. A source inside tells us staff are being ordered to barricade inside rooms. Now, just to give you an idea of where this is happening, this is about a 45-minute drive from the White House and Capitol. Police were first called in at 2:15 this afternoon. That's about 15 minutes before the bell would ring to let kids out. We don't know where on campus this took place, how the victim is doing, or who that victim is, or any information on a suspect, but we're continuing to gather more information. Let's go ahead and tune in now to our CBS affiliate in Washington, D.C., WUSA, for live coverage of this breaking news.
Crews from Montgomery County, Gaithersburg, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office as well, flooded to the scene quite quickly. We were told just by talking to a couple of parents that SWAT units or SRT units are inside the building. And now at this point, it's kind of a wait and see as every room has to be gone through. Every single closet has to be opened, and they have to turn over everything to see if there is any other sort of dangers awaiting the students or if there's any sort of unsafe activity continuing to go on. We're on the far end. Now, if you can kind of go a bit beyond where you'll see past the stoplight here, up the hill, there's actually a much larger police presence over there as well, which would be the front of Wooten High School. Officers continuing to go in, search, and around there is where you saw someone come out in what looked like handcuffs. Don't know if that is the suspect, how that person is related, but we do know one person is in custody as a result of this particular incident here. But again, like we were saying earlier, one of the things that we do have going on here is that it's past the end of the school day. The students, the sort of evacuation plan, the release plans are all kind of changing and fluctuating. We know Frost Middle School at some point soon should be released from lockdown, and those students will be able to go. And we're still working to find out when Wooten High School will release its students as well. In the meantime, as we've been standing here, there's been about, I would say, I'm kind of looking around here, about 20, 30 parents that are showing up. There's not a lot of areas to park in this particular direction. Ruth's going to give us a look at everything kind of behind us. You can see everyone on their phones trying to talk to their students, trying to find out what's going on, when they'll be released, and what's happening. It's quite obviously a scary event, and it's also confusing. And at the end of the day, like you were saying earlier, that kids are going to have to go back to school again tomorrow. And we know that, like Montgomery County, as well as many counties in Maryland, has an ongoing sort of situation for how to deal with these things. When I was in Anne Arundel County last week for a student who had accidentally brought a gun to school and shot himself, the next day they were offering all sorts of counseling, so we can expect that here in Montgomery County as well. As Ruth brings the camera back around again, one of the things we are sort of trying to figure out now is not only the reunification spot, but we're also trying to figure out sort of what the investigation looks like going forward here, and we're trying to find out what has been found in terms of inside. Are there any other suspects? Is it just one in custody? What charge they're facing? What's the condition of the victim? These are all questions we have from Montgomery County Police that we're working on getting answered right now. But, only in the last half hour to 40 minutes or so would I say that the whole situation has sort of at least reached some sort of level of like trying to figure out what's next. So that's where we're at so far in this investigation of the shooting at Wooten High School. Again, 2:15 is when this went out. We're approaching the 4 o'clock hour with just a little bit of information and insight. We talked to a student earlier, and he had kind of given me a little bit more insight. He had been sick today. He left school early in first period, and he told me, well, that he was just now finding out this as well and texting with his friends who were telling him how scared they were as well. So a frightening situation. But that's what we're seeing on the ground here. Still waiting to get information not only about the release, but obviously the investigation itself, which is now a shooting scene, and we don't know the degree by which the victim was injured. Still working to get that information. But for now, outside of Wooten High School, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you guys back in the studio.
Hey, Matt, can you show us, because where you are is where you're mentioning a lot of parents are there, a lot of students are there. Can you give us a sense of what the area is like around you? Or any of those parents willing to talk with us about some of the information they've been receiving? Because I can imagine that a lot of what they're getting is conflicting at this point.
So before you came to me, I tried to speak to them, and obviously fear and pain is something that many people don't want to share. They seem to be a bit private about it. The gentleman I talked to earlier has since left the scene. And if you were seeing when Ruth turned the camera on, some people were turning their faces away. I don't think they.
Okay.
No, you're
Okay.
fine, Ruth. They weren't really interested. Yeah. It's but they just kind of every now and then, like anyone, when they were scared, they were just kind of coming up to me asking if I knew anything.
Yeah.
And I don't either. I know as much as they know, and we're kind of getting the same amount of information. But yeah, it's become a bit more tense, and now the question of how does this all resolve itself is becoming the biggest question.
Yeah, we know police were telling parents to stay away from the school, so I was trying to show people why that is a good idea and why they shouldn't head to the school again, because they're still trying to get the situation under control, even though I know it is incredibly scary and frightening for those parents.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, the other issue is like, there's nowhere to park. The only places you could park right at the school are all up there, and that's blocked off. And then down in this neighborhood, because of the storm, there's no actual, there's no shoulders to any roads for people to park at. So for briefly when we came here, Ruth and I, the photographer, we got to the scene. It was, there was a little backup kind of happening here and there, and there's been all sorts of cars driving in and out of the neighborhoods trying to find somewhere to park just to get nearby. So, in addition to the logistics of having parents come here, right, to try to get. In addition to like those issues, we've also got the problem of just what the storm has created in terms of having a safe place for parents to park their car and walk here if they were trying to collect their child here. I did hear, I thought briefly that the walking home, like that would go through a different route. The kids who walk to Wooten High School, but don't know where that would be yet. Still working to get that information.
Matt, I do think, you mentioned that officers weren't as frantic on the scene. I think that is a promising sign that they do have a secured situation here. Also promising is knowing from police that students who ride a bus will take their regular routes home. I'm assuming that will happen shortly based on, the timing of the information they gave it to us. Parents of bus riders are being asked not to come to the school, but we are still waiting for that reunification for non-bus riders, the walkers, the kids who get dropped off, kiss and ride, car line, if you will. So do you have any idea where that might be at this point?
Yeah, I really don't. There's nothing that's even materializing like on the horizon. Like generally, you can see sort of either school. So either you can see sort of the school resource officers generally, or you could see the police officers making a way for where this would go to. I don't know which direction it would be. I'm assuming that a majority of this stuff is going to come out of the front of the school, since that's where I see the buses still waiting in front. But I don't know exactly where they would go from here. So that's what we're seeing. I want to send that back to you in the studio.
Okay. For those of you just joining us, right now 3:50 is our time. We've been on this since shortly after 2 o'clock. We are live on WUSA 9 and streaming on WUSA 9 Plus with this breaking news out of Montgomery County, a shooting at Wooten High School in Montgomery County this afternoon, just after 2 o'clock.
Now, there is clearly a lot that we don't know, but we are working to get you that information, to get you those updates. We know this is a very delicate situation, but we're going to be with you every step of the way, as you heard our Matt Gregory there mentioning as well.
A very fluid situation. We'll go back to our crews when we get more information for you. But right now, we're going to switch gears and speak with Montgomery County Council President Natalie Fani Gonzalez. Good afternoon.
All right, everybody, we have been listening to CBS affiliate WUSA for live coverage of this breaking news. Again, one person has been shot at this high school in Rockville, Maryland. This is about 20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C., Thomas S. Wooten High School. We know one person has been shot. One person is in custody. We are working to get all the same details there that our affiliate is working to get as well. Police being called out just before the end of the school day there, and all roads leading up to that school being closed right now. So we'll continue to track that and bring you any updates as we get them.